Hello, everybody, and welcome to 38 Weeks to Go, your weekly podcast about fantasy football. Gameweek 1 is done and dusted. After making all those drafts, changing your captain 1 million times, how did you do? Well, for me, it could have been better, but it could have been worse. My biggest mistake ended up being working against the promoted sides. I honestly thought Burnley would be beaten just fine, and I got my points there. Then I believed Leeds would be beaten. I was completely wrong, and I had 3 Everton players. 3. I had 2 West Ham players, and then they got hammered by Sunderland. So, yeah, I have my regrets about that. So, what I'm going to do for this first episode is going to do just a reaction to Game Week 1. Just a general reaction. It might be an overreaction because we only have one game week, but I had a few thoughts before the season started, and now I just want to calibrate them a little bit. It is 1 week only, but Liverpool look fine. Bournemouth look much better than I thought they would. I thought they'd be relegation favourites, but I am not so sure anymore. They look as dangerous as they were last season, and losing to Liverpool really shouldn't do anything to what you think of them. From this game, I would say that even though Liverpool are still fine, honestly, I did not see Salah scoring until he scored. That was so angst-inducing. I was so worried for my Salah captain choice. It worked out in the end, but watching the game unfold made me feel like I'm backing the wrong Liverpool horse. Honestly, Gakpo and Mr. Ekitike look good. Wirtz, it feels like they don't know what to do with him yet, and it might be some time before we see something from him. You can see that he's trying, but it just seems like they don't know how to get it out of him. Kind of like Kai Havertz at Chelsea. Aston Villa versus Newcastle. My immediate thoughts are that both teams seem weaker than they were last season. Elanga had a great chance to score and he looked bright, but he also looked maybe overwhelmed by the occasion. I don't know if that's the right word, but he wasn't as calm and as composed as I have seen him. And I think he will just get that out of the way and he will kick on. I think Newcastle needs signings. If they're to compete on both fronts, they need signings. Otherwise, they will even finish worse than they did last time they were in this situation. They just need more depth. They just need to make a quick decision about Isak. Sell him and just go get Mateta or somebody else from a different league who scores. Just do it. Aston Villa look weak. They just look like they need reinforcements everywhere. Even though this is a bit of a weaker season than last season, you could see what Asensio and Rashford added, and you could see that that is exactly what they were lacking in this game. Konsa was in my team, got a red card. I'm still trying to decide how I feel about that. I'm not happy, but I'm still not sure whether to remove him or not. Brighton versus Fulham. Brighton were impressive. They deserve to win that game by 2 or 3 goals. Fulham will be extremely elated that they got away with a point. They did not deserve that point. They looked like they still need 2 or 3 more preseason games. It wasn't encouraging what I saw from Fulham, but I was very encouraged by what I saw from Brighton. Spurs versus Burnley. Spurs look like last season was a blip, and they look like they're ready for the season. It was only Burnley, but they dispatched them in a way that made you feel like, okay, the better team beat the weaker team. Now, Burnley did manage to create a few chances, and honestly, if they were a better team, they would have scored. And for me, this exposes the thing that we all sort of know about Spurs, is that they're not yet solid at the back. Maybe Thomas Frank will sort it out, but so far, so good. It's a great start for them. Sunderland versus West Ham. If you listened to the episode before, I spoke about how I believe West Ham are possible candidates for relegation. And boy, did this game just reinforce that opinion for me. They honestly didn't look 3-0 bad, but they did lose 3-0. And sometimes that's how you get relegated. You sort of put in a decent performance, but you still lose. And those just add up, and before you know it, you're in a hole. And I don't know what West Ham need to do, because if this is Sunderland, I don't know. Bowen Isak, the people I invested in. I I don't know. I am not encouraged by that team. Sunderland, I had said that they had the potential to stay up because they had spent like Nottingham Forest and to just wait and see. And honestly, after having watched them, they look like they have fight. They are a group of new players and all of them seem hungry and they seem to want to succeed. Diarra looks so impressive. The goals just came, you know? And honestly, it was a great debut season after 8 years out of the Premier League. Very great debut performance. I don't know if they're this good or if West Ham are that bad. I can't tell. And it's kind of like how I feel about Spurs. I don't know if Spurs are that good or Burnley are that bad as well. Time will tell. But for a first game, very impressed. I can't believe there were people who triple captain Ballard. Wild. Wolves versus Manchester City. As I was watching this game, I won't even lie to you. I don't know how Manchester City won this game. I mean, I know they won this game, but when I was watching it, it didn't look like they were going to score. And then when they scored, it just felt inevitable. Manchester City are the better team and they won the game. Wolves were just fine. It's hard to tell from such a game. So I'm not going to jump to any conclusions about Wolves, even though I did think they were possible candidates for relegation. This, even though it confirms it, because I wouldn't say Manchester City were anywhere near their best. They even subbed Haaland after 70 minutes, 73 minutes. That's just, the game was done. Haaland was impressive in that he just did what you thought he was going to do. He took his chances. I think he barely had 3 chances and he took 2 of them. Reinders is the guy I thought he was. Before, if you listen to the previous episode, I spoke about how he felt like a Frank Lampard in that he just has his ways of just being in the right place at the right time, making the good runs, and he just showed up and he scored. He was also involved in the first goal. Honestly, I'm surprised he didn't get a bonus point. He deserved it. I guess a true test for them will be Spurs. Spurs tend to be the bogey team for Manchester City. And this will be also a good test for Spurs. We'll get to know a few things very quickly. Chelsea versus Crystal Palace. My first thoughts were like, João Pedro. I told you guys, that guy is a scam artist. When you want him to perform, he disappears on you. When you don't need him, he'll score a hat-trick. And I guess that's just what you signed up for with João Pedro. Chelsea were lucky not to have lost that game 1-0. That the ruling out of Eze's goal was a bit sus for me. What's the Chelsea fan? I can't complain. But honestly, I don't know. I don't know what VR is for. I don't know. These rules seem to be wishy-washy. It was a draw. People expected a Chelsea victory. For all of you captainers of Palma, I am so sorry. Crystal Palace looked good. They looked dangerous. They had great chances. Both teams had chances. I guess a draw in the end is a fair result. They look fine, but if Eze and Gay leave, if they do not replace them, it will be a long and tough season for them. It was clear. The impact was clear in this game. Nottingham Forest versus Brentford. Nottingham Forest picked up where they left off last season. Very impressive. 3-1 victory. They scored some really good goals. The keeper barely moved for 2 of them. And for the third one, he was rounded off. And the pass for Woods, that goal was chef's kiss. Best pass. Which, it must be said, Richarlison probably has the goal of the weekend. And it may end up being a season, at the end of the season, goal of the season contender. But the pass for Woods' third goal was everything. Brentford looked like relegation favourites. They did. And Forest looked fine. Wood looks fine. I will be bringing in Wood maybe after the next game week. Manchester United versus Arsenal. Honestly, I really expected Arsenal to run away with this game, and they didn't. Manchester United are much better than I thought they were. The gap between them is a lot smaller than I previously thought. Kudos to them. It means they have learned. Them and Spurs look much better than they did last season. And of course, like I said, this is game week 1 reactions. Time will continue to change things. But they look good. Arsenal looked like they couldn't get their ideas together. And I don't know if it's because of what Manchester United were doing or if they were lost. It really looked like they need 2 or 3 more preseason games. If Manchester United play like this in every game, their assets will be worth having. And given how cheap a lot of their assets are, relatively speaking, compared to other teams, I think there will be bargains to be found in this Manchester United squad. Leeds versus Everton. Leeds and Sunderland were like in the same boat in that they have potential to disrupt, and disrupt they did. Leeds were the better team. They were just the better team. Everton looked like the promoted side. I was not worried about them, but now I'm wondering if I should recalibrate. I mean, I have 3 of their players. 3. What am I thinking? I look like a dummy. Now, Leeds, they were just impressive. Well, they only scored through a penalty, but they had other chances to score. And I am more worried about Everton at this point than I am for Leeds. Having said that, okay, now let's look at the top performers for this round. In goal, the top performer was Raya. As you can see, Manchester United did their job. He had 10 points. Pope for Newcastle and Vicario had 9. Sanchez and Roth from Sunderland had 8. When it comes to defenders, the top 5 are Ballard, 17 points, Calafiori, 13 points, Lewis from Manchester City, 11, Saliba, Achampong, Mitchell, and Goodmanson, Ait Nouri, Dunburn, and Livramento all had 9 points. Strong start for defense this year. When it comes to midfielders, Semenyo, who had an amazing start of the season, 15 points, O'Reilly from Brighton, 10 points, Reinders, 10 points, Kudus, 10 points, Ndoye, 9 points. So there are a lot of debutants who did really well. When it comes to strikers, Haaland, 13 points, Wood, 13 points, Richarlison, 13 points, Ekitike, 11 points, Mayenda, 8 points. What Sunderland and Leeds did is so rare. It's only the 3rd time that 2 promoted teams have won on the opening day of the season. The last time this happened was 21-22 when Brentford and Watford won on their debuts, and in 97-98 when both Bolton and Crystal Palace won on their debuts. Before yesterday's game between Leeds and Everton, it was the first time in 17 seasons that 17 champions have not won their first Premier League game. I know I confused that wording, but let me say it again. Leeds won the championship last season. This is the first time that somebody who has won the championship has won their opening match of the following season in the Premier League. Yeah, that's better. Thank you and sorry. Semenyo scored a really beautiful goal against Liverpool, and his second goal was one of the longest runs with the ball ever scored, and he ran for 52.4 meters with the ball. Over the opening of this season, 7 Premier League debutants scored. Excluding the 92-93 season, this is the joint most ever on a match day in the Premier League. Since the start of the 23-24 season, Arsenal have scored the most goals from corners in the Premier League, 31, while Manchester United have conceded the most from them, 23. Goodness, their weaknesses are still there. All 6 of Arsenal's away wins against Manchester United in the Premier League have been 1-0 victories. The most away wins one side has over another in the competition, with 100% of them coming by the same scoreline. Amorim has now lost 15 of his 28 Premier League games. This is the fastest a manager has reached 15 defeats in the competition without taking charge of a newly promoted team. That's a damning stat. Mikel Arteta has won more Premier League games as a manager against Wolves, 9, than Manchester United, won it, drawn 2, lost 2. Among those to take charge of 5 or more matches against Manchester United in the competition, the Arsenal manager, Mr. Arteta, boasts the best win rate, which is 67%. Morgan Gibbs-White is now Nottingham Forest's joint top assist maker in the Premier League, equaling Ian Warne's total of 27. Chris Wood's opener for Nottingham Forest was the earliest goal in the opening game of a Premier League season, in the 5th minute. Josh Achampong, I'm probably butchering it and I'm sorry. is the youngest player to start for Chelsea in the opening Premier League game. He was 19 and 104 days. Glenn Johnson, if you remember him, was the youngest, 18 years and 359 days. Erling Haaland has scored 21 Premier League goals in August, despite Haaland only playing 12 games in the month. This man is ridiculous. And I spoke about this in the previous episode. The only players with more goals in August are Andy Cole, 25 in 44 games, and Les Ferdinand, 22 in 47 games. Haaland has 21 in 12 games. So should he stay with Manchester City for maybe even just 2 more seasons, he will totally eclipse this. By the time he plays 44 games in August in the Premier League, it will be a record that may not be broken. Also, Haaland is now Pep Guardiola's top goal scorer in the Premier League. Can you believe that? This is his 3rd season. He is already Pep Guardiola's top goal scoring player in the Premier League. And some of you still don't have Haaland. What does he need to do? James Milner is the only outfield player born in the 1980s to appear in the Premier League this season. Kudos to him. That's a long career. Newcastle now make it 6 games for them to be unable to win a game without Alexander Isak. Mo Salah scored again, and now this makes him, clearer of the person who has scored the most goals on the opening day of the Premier League. On top of that, he has the most goals and assists combined of any player on match day 1 in Premier League history. And some of you don't even have Salah in your team. I don't understand it. Semenyo for Bournemouth is the first visiting player to score a brace at Anfield since September 2022. Hugo Ekitike is only the 2nd player to both score and assist a goal on his Premier League debut. The last person to do that, or rather the first person to do that, was Darwin Núñez for Liverpool against Fulham in 2022. Oof! I don't know if you want to be following Mr. Núñez in anything, because if he was the only player to do that for Liverpool and now this is the 2nd, what does that say for their careers? Dun dun dun! It was a very difficult start for some of the most owned FPL players. Gyökeres 1 point, Frimpong 1 point, Wan-Bissaka 1 point, João Pedro 2 points, Dubravka 2 points, Wirtz 2 points, Watkins 2 points, and Palmer 3 points. Those were the most owned players. Something absolutely ridiculous. Sunderland has a defender called Ballard who scored. Top performer of the game week, 17 points. 3 managers triple captained him. Not single captained, triple captained him. So they got 51 points. Talk about a perfect use of a triple captain. Something interesting. When you start FPL, they ask you to choose your favorite team. So you will put your team, Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, whatever it is. Now, Richarlison was captained by 1,219 Arsenal fans, while only 843 Spurs fans captained him. And this is the right way to play fantasy. Without your heart, go with what you think is going to work, regardless of if you want it to fail. 68 managers triple captained Semenyo, and just under 170,000 had him on the bench. So for those of you who have very powerful benches and did not use your bench boost, I am so sorry. The highest points this game week was 127. Goodness, that's a lot. And the average points was 54. So if you got 54 above, well done. If not, don't worry, we have 37 weeks left to go and there's still time to change everything. The most captained player was Mo Salah. The most vice-captained player was Palmer. The most transfers in this week, Reinders, which makes sense with 646,000 people bringing him in. Semenyo, 436,000 bringing him in. 400,000 brought in Ekitike. 300,000 brought in Wood. 230,000 brought in Haaland. Players out, 300,000 removed Wirtz. 280,000 removed Vardiol. 270,000 removed Konsa. 26,000 removed Isak. 22,000 removed João Pedro. People are so quickly done with João Pedro, that's funny. The highest manager is Robbie's Spurs. He got 127 points. Very impressive team. So, in goal, he had Sanchez, who had 8. Pedro Porro, 6. Cucurella, 8. Virgil van Dijk, 3. Ryan Cherky, 6. Kudus, 10. Rangers, 10. Jai, 2. Haaland was his captain, 26. Ekitike, 11. Wood, 13. He used his bench boost, and on his bench, he had 7 from Gakpo, 2 from Milenkovic, 6 from Reinildo from Sunderland, and 9 from Vicario, and that led him to have 127. I'm just looking at his page, and of course, since he got the most points this game week, he is number 1 across the world. I'm sure he wishes the season could end today. Just in all his leagues, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Amazing. In our league, the best performing player, or rather manager, is the manager of Belief FC, managed by Usif Umar. Mr. Umar used his bench boost as well, leading him to get 105 points. So, starting in goal, Sells, 2 points. Ola Aina, 4 points. De Kuiper, 2 points. Van de Ven, 6. Ait Nouri, 9. Mitoma, 2. Reinders, 10. Ahmad, 1. Bruno Fernandes, 2. Captain Haaland, 26. João Pedro, 2. Raya, 10. Kudus, 10. Wood, 13. Romero, 6. That is a beautiful bench boost. Wow. So that's how the number 1 on our table got 105 points. It's crazy because after that, number 2 has 84. Tied, so it's El Flick, 2, has 84. Mr. Echo, 84. Mr. Sadiq Suleiman, 80. Eric Moranga, 80. Madangana Kihoro, 78. Mishuki Shege, 74. Turn Up, 73. 73, 73, 73. Up until number 11 is 73 points. So that's been a great start to the league, in that even though number 1 is a bit of an outlier, between number 2 and number 12 is just 12 points, but between number 1 and number 2 is 21 points. Without the bench boost, I'm sure next week we'll look a bit closer. At the bottom of the table, Sir Carlos Wenger, manager of the Invincibles, is bottom of the table with 28 points. At least maybe this game week and maybe the next couple of game weeks are the only game weeks which I know that people are actually trying. And so, yeah, 28 points. He had Sells, Gabriel. Sells gave him 2, Gabriel gave him 6, Frimpong gave him 1, Kyle Walker gave him 1. He had captained João Pedro, who gave him 4, Mateta gave him 1, Gyökeres gave him 1, Mr. Saka gave him 3, Mamush gave him 1, Elanga 3, Morgan Gibbs White 5. Honestly, it's very clear that this is an Arsenal fan. And why are people not choosing Haaland or Salah for August at least? They start well all the time, like literally all the time. Now, if you listen to the previous podcast, I told you about a friend of mine who captained Haaland for more than half of the season. Well, this season he decided to start by captaining Sesko. So I don't need to tell you which team he supports. He had 30 points. Sesko 2, Solanke 1, Ahmad 1, Saka 3, Palmer 3, Fernandes 2, Wirtz 2, Van Dijk 3, Konsa 3, Murillo 2, Sanchez 8. No Haaland, no Salah. Makes no sense. Manager Lawrence Agyapong, manager of Our Plough Babies, had 38 points. Do you know how many points he had on the bench? 34. Very painful. Sorry to you, sir. Olang's All-Stars had 30 points on the bench, and he had 30 points. Dennis Gathiga, 29 points on the bench. Collins Kagi, 24 points on the bench. And rounding up the top 5, Jeffrey Jeremy, 23 points on the bench. When it comes to captain choices, 94 of us captained Salah. 24 of us captained Haaland. 22 of us captained Palmer. 11 of us captained João Pedro. 7 of us gamblers captained Bowen. 5 of us captained Gyökeres. 3 of us captained Ekitike. Another 3 captained Bruno Fernandes. Another 3 captained Gakpo. Another 2 Manchester United fans captained Sesko. 2 people who are out of it captained Isak. 2 of us managed to captain Wirtz. Another 2 captained Watkins. Another 2 captained Saka. Another 1 captained Strand-Larsen. That one I don't understand. Another 1 captained Johnson. 1 captained Wood. Another 1 Van Dijk. Another 1 Pirot. another one Raul, another one Mateta, another one McGee. Wow. Talk about gambling. Another one Captain Delap, and another one Captain Havertz. So you could see, to start the season, everyone had different ideas about how it would go. Some were proven right, and many were proven wrong. Looking forward to Gameweek 2, it must be stated that Gameweek 2 starts on Friday. It will be West Ham versus Chelsea, two teams that really underperformed in the past game week. And given how that game week went, it's really looking like it's going to be Chelsea's game. Honestly, at this point, Chelsea are favorites for this game, given the way game week 1 went for West Ham. And if you believe in them, you should have your defender, be it Cucurella, your midfielder, be it Palmer, and if you haven't yet removed João Pedro, stay with him. For West Ham, honestly, at this point, just choose Bowen and minimize your exposure to them. Manchester City are playing Spurs, and this is a fire starter game. Last week we had the Manchester versus Arsenal, now we have Manchester versus Spurs. This is going to be a good game. Haaland, Reinders, Ait Nouri were the top performers for Manchester City, and of course Lewis. So those are the three I would recommend. Spurs, guess. Kudus, take another guess. Richarlison, and another guess. Your choice of defender. I'm just going to recommend the top performers from Game Week 1. Bournemouth are taking on Wolves. Wolves were handily beaten, and so they'll be looking to step up. Bournemouth were beaten but looked better than Wolves. I believe Bournemouth will be favourites for this game. Now, should you believe that as well, Semenyo and Mr. Evanilson will be your best bets. When I was watching the game, their left back impressed me. He's got a French name like Trumfier, something like that. He looked good to me. So if you want a defender from them, I would recommend him. On the other end, if you want Wolves players, I would say just start with Strand Larsen. I have Arias, but just start with Strand Larsen, and then let's just see what happens. But if you want more than that, you could look at Bellegarde. When it comes to Brentford versus Aston Villa, both teams were underwhelming in their opening games of the season and will be looking to do better. Aston Villa, thanks to their slim squad, you really have Watkins, Rodgers, and your defender of choice. If you're Brentford, it's a bit tougher. They were underwhelming, but I would say choose Thiago and Shada, and maybe Collins. He's usually good at the back and he tends to play. It's a new manager. Let's see what they do. And let's hope they also get rid of Wissa and replace him. Burnley versus Sunderland. Honestly, Sunderland look great. And I wouldn't blame you for looking at them and getting a Diarra or an Isidore or Ballard or Mayenda. From Burnley, honestly, I'm not going to recommend anybody from Burnley until they prove that they can do something. I have seen nothing worth recommending so far. Maybe they'll show something in this game. Arsenal versus Leeds. Leeds started well. They got an unlikely victory. If they were to win this next game against Arsenal, I would fully recommend having Leeds players. But for now, I am still not convinced, especially since now they're jumping into the deep end. Maybe when their fixtures become lighter. So, for Arsenal, you have Saka. Maybe this will be the game Gyökeres stands up. And a defender. The choice is yours. The defender you like is the one you should have. For Leeds, should you believe in them? Pirot, Necha, Wanto, and Goodmanson maybe. Crystal Palace versus Forest. Both teams were good to start the season. Even though Palace didn't win, they were still impressive against Chelsea. If Eze is still there, he should be in your team along with Mitchell and Mateta. For Forest, it's clear that Wood is the best player to have, followed by Morgan Gibbs-White, and then you can take Ndoye. Everton was so unimpressive, but they tend to keep clean sheets at home, and that is what I'm banking on. So, as with always with Everton, it's usually you start by saying Pickford and maybe your Tarkowski or your defender of choice, and then maybe better on the eye. For Brighton, I would suggest Mitoma and maybe Welbeck and Mente. Brighton tend to be good moving forward and tend to be a bit weak at the back. They were really impressive going forward against Fulham, but they weren't able to put the ball in the back of the net. And so if they concede, they lose. They need to outscore you. Fulham versus Manchester United. Honestly, given what I saw from Fulham, I believe Manchester United will be favourites in this game. Fulham looked like they needed like two or three more games before they could start the season. They still did score and managed to get a draw, and that might inspire them moving forward. Muniz was a goal scorer, so I would say him, maybe Leno, and Iwobi. For Manchester United, I would say Fernandes, Bomo, and Cunha. So far, those are the three top players to have from Manchester United, even though they haven't yet scored, but those are just the top three players. Not Sesko. He might not start yet. And finally, we have Newcastle versus Liverpool. An Isak-less Newcastle. When Liverpool played Bournemouth, they made two mistakes. One, both of them are the same. They removed both of their wing-backs, and instantly they conceded goals. Frimpong and Kerkez were impressive on their debuts. Now, I am sure Slot will have learned from that mistake, and I don't think he'll be taking them off that early. Although in the case of Frimpong, it was more to do with the hamstring tightness. So we will know if he starts this game whether he has recovered. For Newcastle, it's tough. They tend to be good at the back, and they tend to be good against these big teams. So, but without Isak, at the front, they look a bit directionless. They don't know how to attack well. If they get an early chance like Elanga did and they take it, I could see them winning this game 1 or 2-0 or 2-1. But if they're going to be wasteful, I can honestly see them losing 3-1, 4-1. It's a tight one to call. But anyway, if you're getting Liverpool players, I would encourage you to get Mr. Salah as always, Hugo Ekitike and Gakpo. If you're getting Newcastle players, I would say Gordon, Elanga, and your choice between Joelinton or Bruno Guimaraes. So, looking at the FDR, Arsenal have Leeds, Liverpool, Forest, Man City, and Newcastle next. I think after the Newcastle game is when I'm bringing in my first Arsenal player. Those are difficult fixtures, maybe the most difficult start to the season of any team. If they get out of this okay, they'll probably have a very wonderful season. Aston Villa have Brentford, Crystal Palace, Everton, Sunderland, and Fulham. Now, this is why people have Villa players. Their fixtures are all winnable. Literally all of them are winnable. It's just, can they do it? Can they just get over that hump? They just need to get this sorted. They have great fixtures. Bournemouth have Wolves, Spurs, Brighton, Newcastle, and Leeds. It's a mixed bag, but Bournemouth will be able to score. After watching the first game, I am no longer worried about them. I think they will be just as you remember last season. Brentford have Villa, Sunderland, Chelsea, Fulham, and Manchester United. Honestly, at this point, I'm very scared for them. I think they only have 2 games in which they could credibly get a result. I don't know. They haven't done anything to make me think they're not relegation favourites. Brighton have Everton, Man City, Bournemouth, Tottenham, and Chelsea. They can score against all of these people. I just don't know how many of those they will win. Burnley have Sunderland, Man United, Liverpool, Forest, and City. They look like the kind of team that are favourites for being bottom. And I believe these are going to be all difficult games for them. Chelsea have West Ham, Fulham, Brentford, Man United, and Brighton. At least Chelsea have sorted out their defense, so I could say they're all drawable games. They're all winnable games, but it also looks like they're tough to beat. So I'd say they're all drawable games, in that I could see them drawing 0-0 all of them, but I could see them winning 3 or 4 out of 5 of them. Crystal Palace have Forest, Villa, Sunderland, West Ham, and Liverpool. Now, if Gay and Eze don't leave, I could see them getting a result in 3 of these fixtures. Everton play Brighton, Wolves, Villa, Liverpool, and West Ham. I'm wondering why I had 3 players from Everton, and now I understand. I believe that these are fixtures that they're able to get a result in. Fulham have Man United, Chelsea, Leeds, Brentford, and Villa. I think after Chelsea, that's when the season really starts. And so I wouldn't encourage you to get Fulham players until the Chelsea game. Leeds have Arsenal, Newcastle, Fulham, Wolves, and Bournemouth. After the Arsenal and Newcastle game, I believe that they can get a result in the others. If they get a result in the Arsenal and Newcastle game, that's amazing for them. Liverpool have Newcastle, Arsenal, Burnley, Everton, Crystal Palace. Liverpool are the champions. They play Newcastle and Arsenal, but they are the favourites for the season. And Salah can score against anybody. I wouldn't be surprised if they draw 2 and win 3. Manchester City have Spurs, Brighton, Man United, Arsenal and Burnley. Outside the Arsenal game, I could see them winning 3 out of the 5. Man United have Fulham, Burnley, City, Chelsea, Brentford. This is a great start for them, and I believe that should they be able to get 3 out of the 5, if they can win 3 of those 5, it will be a promising season for them. Newcastle have Liverpool, Leeds, Wolves, Bournemouth and Arsenal. Outside Liverpool, the next 3 fixtures will be good for them. Bournemouth will be tricky, but they should be able to get results against Leeds and Wolves. And should they get something against Liverpool, they'll definitely be able to get something against Arsenal. I just hope they are able to resolve their striker situation. Forest have Crystal Palace, West Ham, Arsenal, Burnley and Sunderland. Honestly, at this point in time, they look like they can beat anybody, and they are just looking like last season's team. So just bank on them and close your eyes. Spurs have Man City, Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton and Wolves. Outside the Man City game, the rest are winnable. And honestly, after this game against City, I'll be looking to move into Spurs players, thinking about Richarlison in particular. Sunderland have Burnley, Brentford, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa and Forest. Oh my goodness. The next 3 games look like they can be very competitive. And the other 2, who knows? We still don't know who Sunderland are, but they're interesting. West Ham have Chelsea, Forest, Spurs, Crystal Palace and Everton. In theory, they should be competitive, but they weren't competitive against Sunderland. Unless Sunderland turned out to be this amazing side, it's very hard to know what to expect from West Ham right now. Wolves have Bournemouth, Everton, Newcastle, Leeds and Spurs. They were handily beaten by Man City, but Man City are Man City. So I would say I will know who they are after the next 2 games. So watch them closely and I think things will become clearer. So, Game Week 2, captaincy. Who do you choose? Well, you have Man City versus Spurs. Based on 1 game only, Richarlison and Haaland are great captain choices. And then from this game, secondary captains, Reinders and Kudus. Bournemouth versus Wolves, Semenyo. Brentford versus Aston Villa, I wouldn't choose a captain. Burnley versus Sunderland, tough, maybe Mayenda. Arsenal versus Leeds, it's not clear. It's not clear yet. Arsenal haven't yet shown anything compared to the other captains yet. Crystal Palace versus Forest, Wood. Everton versus Brighton, no captain yet. Fulham versus Man United, no captain yet. Newcastle versus Liverpool, if you choose Gakpo, Salah, Ekitike, that'll be fine. And based on Game Week 1, these are the best captain choices. Outside that, I hope you're not too hurt by Game Week 1 if it didn't go well. Don't worry, we have 37 weeks left to go. Have a great rest of your week and see you on the pitch. Bye.